Hello, I'm Crystal. I'm one of the psychics here at Romany Enchantments. There are things happening behind the scenes at the moment. We are hoping to have a new website going live very soon. Rachel has been working very hard on that, and no doubt that she will be posting all about that when that actually goes live, hopefully in the next day or two. So why am I doing this video? Well, I always feel it's good for you to know a little bit about the psychics that are doing your readings. And I like to let people know how I work because that gives you a better idea of what I can do for you. So I'm Crystal, as you probably know. I have an odd background. I was actually a pharmacist and I moved into therapies. So I do things like Reiki, Indian head massage, hypnotherapy, but the main things I do now are mindfulness and Qigong. And I do post regular Qigong videos, which come live onto my page. But as a psychic, I work with cards mainly, and although I inevitably do use tarot and oracle cards, one of my favourite decks does not really fit either of those because it's a deck called the Wisdom of Avalon, which, if you know anything about your Arthurian legends, you will know that Avalon is where Arthur is supposed to go. And this deck has a very fantasy Arthurian theme to it. So what I'd like to do today is just show you a few of the cards from this deck picked at random. If you would like to put a like or post a comment under the video, I will do mini one card general readings. If you have a specific question, please post it as part of the Freebie Friday, which is running. And you know the rules for that by now. But I'm not going to be answering any questions on this video, but I'm happy to do one card readings. Hello, Jennifer. I've seen that you liked me. Okay, so I'll do a one card reading for you. I'll show you the card and I'll tell you what I get for you. So the card I've got for you is the Goblin. You can see the artwork is very, very fantasy based. And the wording on the card is the wounded human ego. And what I take from that card, with it coming out on its own, is, oh, you're not alone, Jennifer, don't worry. We all have an inner side of ourselves that we talk to ourselves in ways that we wouldn't let other people do. A lot of my work as a therapist is trying to help people change how they talk to themselves, because we insult ourselves, we put ourselves down. And for me, the message of this card for you, Jennifer, is that, like so many other people, you need to find kinder ways to talk to yourself. Believe in yourself. I've just been getting a message from my guide. It was just saying you need to believe in yourself more. You can do it. That's very much the message I'm getting from you, for you, that believe in yourself. You can actually do this. I'm getting the feeling that there's a lot more to it than that. So you might want to ask a card on, ask for a mini reading, or be honest, it might be an idea for you to get a slightly longer reading. Maybe send in an SMS request. The numbers are on the page. Hello, Ruby. Let's see what I get for you. So let's pick a card for you. I should say I'm not going to be on very long this morning because I have another live video to do. Okay, Ruby. What I have for you is disruption. You can see it's a beautiful picture. It's of a waterfall. And I have another favourite deck that I use called Earth Magic. And this reminds me very much of that deck. Now, what this card is showing is the way that water can literally wear away at the rocks. It's the kind of drip, 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 drip. And obviously that very much disrupts the rock. But what this picture is showing is that the disruption caused by the water can actually lead to something rather wonderful. That's often the way in life. Sometimes something that feels really disruptive is something that has to happen. Sometimes when change has got you pulling you along, sometimes we don't ask for change, it just happens, and we're kind of being pulled along, and it feels a little bit like a roller coaster, or as if you're being pulled along in a river. And one thing I often tell people is, listen, if you're in that situation, don't waste your energy trying to swim against the tide. Sometimes you just have to go with the flow and trust that where you end up will be better. So Ruby, if you're feeling that things are just, you know, kind of out of your control, sometimes the best thing to do is just to go with the flow. Sometimes these things that happen, and they're just necessary, and it may not be pleasant, but it will often end up taking us to somewhere better. Hello, Donna. I'm going to have to scroll up. And Vera. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on. I can't read the screen. So, Donna, let's see what I get for you. Right, that's the card for you, I think. Oh, exactly the same card as I got previously, and I did shuffle them, disruption. So the same message there. This doesn't really surprise me that that message has come out twice for the same for different people. Energetically, there is an awful lot going on that is causing disruption. I mean, I'm talking on a global scale now. There's climate change. There's all the political turmoil that's going on in this country, in the USA, in countries all over the world. And for me, that's part of a pattern. The disruption actually is, I feel, in a way necessary. I don't like it, but, you know, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. And there is a reason why the comfort zone is called comfortable. It's because you are comfortable. But it's worth remembering that it's the trying to respond to the grit in its shell that makes the oyster form a pearl. That disruption from the grit actually gets the oyster to make something that's very, very beautiful. And that's kind of the message that is for everybody in today's political world. Okay, let's see what I get. So Vera, you're next. Oh, how beautiful. The Wind Fairy. And as you can see, it's about thoughts, words, intellectual analysis. Now, wind is like air in the tarot, and it's all to do with thought. And one of the things that I know from my therapy training is that our thoughts are actually far, far more powerful than most people realise. I said at the beginning that I'm a therapist, and a lot of what I do is helping people change how they talk to themselves. And actually, you talk to yourselves in thought. You don't usually talk out loud. It's those thoughts going on in your head. What this card is telling me for you, Vera, is that you are a very thoughtful person. But the message I'm getting from my guides is, and it's one I often used to hear during my training, is don't overthink things. Not everything can be subject to analysis. Not everything can be thought of in a logical way. This is something I know all too well. I've come from a scientific background, and to be honest, an awful lot of what I do now, I would have thought back in the day was absolutely total rubbish. So I've had to go through a really major paradigm shift to get to where I am, to be doing what I'm doing now. And you can't always logically think about things. Logic is very good. We are serve very ill if we stop using our brains and don't look at things logically. But if you do use your logic, that's wonderful. But when you come across something that can't actually be analysed logically, you have two choices. You either ignore it and hope it'll go away, or you just have a little bit of curiosity and think, okay, well, you know, I can't quite work this out, but let's just, you know, see where I go if I assume that, however illogical, that this is actually correct. That's certainly what has helped me on my path from being very analytical scientist to being a very esoteric, slightly woolly kind of person doing all sorts of therapists. I won't tell you some of the things that my pharmacist colleagues or my ex-pharmacist colleagues, because I'm retired, have said about my ventures into things like Reiki and what have you. Okay, so I'll keep an eye out for the next one that's going to put a like, and I'll just carry on showing you the cards. The cow. Now, we don't often think of the cow as being a spiritual creature, but in fact, all animals are. And the cow, if you think about it, I mean, Avalon, Arthurian legend, was all based in the countryside, and cows are hugely important for our countryside. If we didn't have cows, the countryside would look an awful lot more different than it does. And I will show you the words there: nourishment, abundance, asking and receiving. We all need to nourish ourselves. We all need to both give and receive. Very often, the giving and receiving can be completely out of balance. Very often, you know, we feel, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to support this person, I've got to support that person. And life can kind of force you into a situation. If you've ever had to become a carer to someone, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But you can get into the situation where you spend so much time giving to other people that you forget that you need to give to yourself. And you can forget that actually it's okay for people to give to you. I have a little mantra that I use far more often than I care to think about when I'm talking to other people, and also, to be honest, it's something that I need to be reminded about as well. And it's very simple. Self-care is never selfish. If you don't take time to look after yourself, to nurture yourself, to nourish yourself, then you're actually going to be no good to the people that you're trying to help. So that's one of my mottos for today, is self-care is never selfish. Let's just take another look through and find another. I'll let chance take it. If I try and pick one, I'll be biased. I'll just shuffle and see what comes out when I split the deck. Oh, it's the cow again. Evidently someone needs that message. The hawk. We're all used to birds as messengers, but the hawk is about omens and messages. The hawk is a very strong bird of prey, flies high. And in olden times, hawks were often seen as harbingers of omens and messages. You know, the hawk flying high would be seen as very portentous. For me, the message of this card, and you know, that I'm being told to say, for anyone who's just watching this video and hasn't decided to interact, because I know there'll be some people who are watching and not interacting. The message of this card for me is that when we're mindful and look around, there are always things that can give us guidance. We may not understand what they're saying, and we might look at what we think they're saying and think, well, hang on, how can that be? Oh gosh, I hadn't scrolled up, I hadn't realised there were so many there. Right. Let's pick a specific card for Donna then. Donna Greenwood, hello. Forgiveness. Lovely picture. Forgiveness is important. Whether it's yourself that you need to forgive or whether it's somebody else, don't know. but there is something, I'm getting the feeling you've done something and you're kind of beating yourself up about it. Donna, well, don't. There may be a lesson that you need to learn from the mistake that you made, but we all make mistakes. We all need to learn from them. Okay, so Vera, the wind fairy. Don't know if you're watching what I said before, but it's wind is all about thought, and this is about thoughts and words and intellectual analysis. Sometimes it's very important to do a little bit of intellectual analysis. Sometimes there can be a little bit of a battle between head and heart. And sometimes if your heart is telling you something, but your head is telling you something different, you may need to look carefully at the message that your head is telling you, because it could just be that the head is right. Marion, hello. The swan. Oh, the swan's a beautiful bird. I come originally from Buckinghamshire. I was born near High Wycombe, and the swan is the image of my county. Swan, transformation, the ugly duck, trusting the psychic self. Trusting psychic gifts. Sorry, I misread it. We all know the story of the ugly duckling. We all have an inner swan inside us. And sometimes we do just need to trust that side of us that sometimes we try to reject. But that one is all about transformation. Where are we? Nessa. Hello, Nessa. Forgiveness. I've got to go with the card I get, even though I got it before. Again, not surprised that the same card has come out twice. We all do things that we need to forgive ourselves for, and there's quite often people around us that have done something that annoy us, and we need to forgive them. And holding a grudge is a waste of energy, is really what I would like to say to that. Amber Louise. Oh, I know another Amber Louise. Lovely combination of names. I have a lovely young friend called Amber. She's very gifted psychically. Okay, Amber, what card am I going to get for you? The bee. And the bee is all about luck, industriousness, and sweet victory. Luck is the one word that springs to mind there. And the combination with industriousness. There's a famous tale about a golfer. And someone said, you know, gosh, you're so lucky. You get so many holes in one. And the golfer's response was, well, do you know, the more I practice, the luckier I get. Luck does happen, but what we do can increase our chances of getting that lucky break, of actually noticing, you know, sort of that chance for us. So I think the message from that is you need to put the work in, but I think the luck is turning for you if you feel that things have been a bit unlucky for you recently. Nessa, hi. Oh, that's an interesting comment about you both need to forgive someone. But the card I've pulled for you is the Raven. Now, the Raven is very much a bird of omen. But you can see there the words are magic, coincidence, synchronistic reveals. It's a very dark image on this card. And whenever this card comes out in a reading, the thing I always get from it is that raven has been picking over the bones of something. And sometimes I think you just need to let things go. And that's a very good example of how with any deck there is a quote, an official meaning of the card. but actually the meaning of the card is what you get at the time, what I take from the images. I often get asked by people, oh, I'd like to learn to read cards. What do I do? I've got this deck. How can I learn to read it? I always give people the same advice. Look at the deck, read the instruction booklet, and then throw the instruction booklet away. In fact, to be honest, I've parroted that from the wonderful David Wells, who I had the pleasure of meeting a few years back. Because what the cards say to you is much more important than what it's supposed to say to you. But in this case, I do feel the words are important. Sometimes things do just happen. And if there's something that's just happened that you're thinking, oh, that's almost too good to be true, what I want to say to you is trust, have faith. I think that that's very much something that you need to look at long and hard. Just because something happens quite magically doesn't always mean it's bound to end in disaster. Right, so anyone I haven't done a reading for? No, I think I've done a reading for everyone who's done a like. I'll just see if there's any likes. No, I think I've done readings for everyone. So I will carry on just going through the deck. Just picking cards at random. The eagle. Lots of birds in this card, inevitably. The eagle. Beautiful image. Spirit, integrity, connection into the angelic realm. And the eagle very much soars high above the earth. And that's where we think the angelic realm is. And that's one reason why birds are seen as messengers. I'll do one more deck, show you one more card from this deck, and then I'll just leave the camera for a moment and go and get one of my other favourite decks. Oh, right. Now, how weird. When a card comes out that's called this, that's the back of this deck of cards, by the way, that's called this, people often get scared. And this beautiful image, as you can see, is called death. And I really wish, sometimes wish decks didn't have cards called death, because obviously the well-known one is that there is the death card in the tarot. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to have a reading, you know, I'm worried that you're going to see my death. I have never seen anybody's death, I can absolutely assure you of that. But death in a spiritual meaning often means the death of an old way of thinking or an old way of life. But death is inevitably followed by rebirth. But sometimes the old has to die to make room for the new. And so if you get the death card, I do not want you ever to think, oh my goodness, I want to think, yes, there is change coming. How can I make the most of this change? Because it's a very peaceful scene. It's a bit rocky, but there's that sand and there's the water lapping. And I don't know about you, but in the heat we have in the UK at the moment, I could be happily lying on that beach, just sunning myself, listening to those waves and enjoying walking on the rocks. So the death card is nothing to be afraid of. Now I'm going to leave camera for a moment. Be back. Hello, did you miss me? Right. So the other deck that I like to use is got this wonderful card in it. It's called Earth Magic. It does what it says on the tin. It's very, very naturalistic. Oh, Amber, right, the bee. What I was saying about the bee card was that it's all about luck, industriousness, and it's all a bit about sweetness, which is what you associate with bees. What I was saying was that we have to put the work in to increase our chances of the luck going our way. If you want to, say you're a pianist, if you want to, get the lucky breaks that make you a star, first of all, you have to put the practice in to make sure that you are, a more than competent pianist. So by working hard, you can actually increase your chances of getting the lucky breaks. Let's carry on scrolling up. Right, Donna, hiya. Right, ladies, I'm going to be on for 5 more minutes, then I've got to get set up for something else. So, earth magic. Beautiful image, this one, wind activation. We don't see the wind, we see the effects of the wind, and that's very true sometimes with things that go on in life. We don't actually see what's causing it, we see the effects of it. Again, it's because it's this wind air thought thing. For me, with my therapist head firmly in place, the message of this card for me is that everything starts with your thoughts. And if your thoughts aren't making you feel so good, you need to change what you're thinking. You may not be able to change your circumstances, and trust me, I really know what that's like. If you can't change your circumstances, all you can do is change how you think about your circumstances, because sometimes you just have to accept. Now, if that message really resonates with anybody, I do I Ching readings, which is a form of Chinese divination, which I cannot possibly demonstrate on this video. But you might want to think about booking with me. Right, this I'm afraid is going to be my last card, and it would appear to be for you, Sarah, because you're the last one that posted. Childhood, innocence. It's a lovely image. I can vaguely remember playing in meadows like that when I was a child, but then, as you can see, I'm actually quite old. Children look at things in a wonderful way. They're just curious. They have no preconceptions. They just accept things as they are. They can, have a sense of wonder at even the most ordinary things that if they see them for the first time. In my mindfulness, when I'm teaching people mindfulness, one of the aspects that we have is looking at something with the eyes of a child, with the curious, wondering eyes, as if we've never seen something before. And that is something that I think we all need to develop. Sarah, that card was the card I pulled for you. But again, as with so many of the cards I've pulled today, I suspect there's other people listening who need to hear this message. And although I've been speaking about looking at things with the eyes of a child, I think what I want to say is release your inner child. Go play. Go have some fun. Because life can be full of issues, and we all need to make time to play and have fun. Right. Thank you very much for watching this little video. I hope that this has given you a better idea of who I am, how I work, and the sorts of things that I do. I'm now going to end this live video. I'll be looking at some of the Freebie Friday requests and maybe answering some of those. I'll be going on the lines a bit later, but for now I have something else that I need to do. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to be interacting with you again at some point soon in the future. Namaste.